Right now on Morning News Now, breaking his silence. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin apologizing for keeping his cancer battle secret.
I want to be crystal clear. We did not handle this right, and I did not handle this right.
How he's working to assure the public that the country wasn't put at risk during his absence as U.S. forces prepare to retaliate for that deadly drone strike in Jordan. Also this morning, new pushback in the Middle East. President Biden issued an executive order targeting Israeli settlers in the West Bank. What we know about the order and the waves of violence leading up to it. Plus, of two minds, some Republican women are split on their support for Donald Trump and their anger over the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. We're digging into a new NBC News poll to find out what that could mean before they vote this November. And it's showtime. The biggest night in music is almost here. We've got your Grammys guide and why some people say this could be the year of the woman. Love to hear it.
It is always like the best concert of the year, too.
Yeah,
I
what an award show.
They give out like 3 awards
concert.
and just play music all night long.
Grammy-worthy artists performing for us.
Exactly. Good to have you with us on this Friday. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We'll get started this morning with the expected return to U.S. soil of the 3 American soldiers who were killed in a drone attack last Sunday in Jordan.
President Biden and the First Lady plan to be there in Delaware for what's known as the Dignified transfer of remains. It'll happen at Dover Air Force Base later today. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin will also be there. Yesterday, he held his first press briefing since his recent hospitalization and apologized for hiding his health issues from the White House and from the public. Austin also said the U.S. was preparing to retaliate against the Iran-backed groups that were behind the drone attack.
Well, this is a dangerous moment in the Middle East. We will continue to work to avoid a wider conflict in the region. But we will take all necessary actions to defend the United States, our interests, and our people. And we will respond when we choose, where we choose, and how we choose. We will have a multi-tiered response, and again, we have the ability to respond a number of times, depending on what the situation is.
NBC News correspondent Aaron Gilchrist joins us now from outside Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. So, Aaron, what can we expect from the president's visit there today and the return of these 3 fallen U.S. soldiers?
Well, Joe and Savannah, today really is about these 3 soldiers being returned here, brought back home to the United States. I think today what you will see is a really dignified, respectful, precision-based movement by the folks here at Dover Air Force Base that is really designed to pay tribute to the people you see on your screens here, Sergeants Rivers, Moffitt, and Sanders. Their bodies will be flown back to the United States. They are being flown back to the United States. And the thing that will be different this time is that, yes, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, will be here along with the families of these soldiers to receive their remains, along with the First Lady and several other people who will participate as dignitaries in this really a ritual. The Air Force doesn't like to refer to it as a ceremony, but it is something, this dignified transfer, where we will see these transfer cases come off of an aircraft and in a very somber, meticulous movement be transferred into vehicles before they're taken to the mortuary affairs unit here to be positively identified and then eventually returned to their families for burial. Joe, Savannah?
Aaron, as we mentioned, and we played a little bit of sound from this a moment ago, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin took questions from the press yesterday. What did we learn about what the U.S. is planning in response to this drone attack?
Well, Savannah, we won't get a lot of detail about what exactly it is that will happen as a response to the deaths of these 3 soldiers and the injuries of the others in Jordan a couple of days ago. But the president has said that he has made his decision about what sort of a response he wants to see. And the Secretary of Defense, you heard there, say that this will be a multi-tiered response that we see. Officials have told NBC News that it will likely be a response that happens over the course of days or weeks. It won't be one action that we see as a result of the plan that's being executed. Typically in these situations, you'll have the commanders on the ground who really have operational decision-making power in terms of when exactly something might happen and what exactly that a strike, for example, might look like. But we do expect, as the Secretary indicated, that there will be a robust response to what happened in Jordan over the weekend.
And Aaron, Secretary Austin also apologized for concealing his recent health issues from the White House. A reminder, he was hospitalized for complications from prostate cancer surgery. Didn't tell the president right away. What else is he saying about that?
You're right. The secretary apologized for keeping so much of that information private. He said that it wouldn't surprise anyone, and it didn't, that he is a private man and thought it best to keep this cancer diagnosis to himself. I do want you to hear a little bit of what he said from the podium at the Pentagon yesterday in talking about this incident. Listen.
I was being treated for prostate cancer. The news shook me. And I know that it shakes so many others, especially in the black community. It was a gut punch. And frankly, my first instinct was to keep it private. I don't think it's news that I'm a pretty private guy. I never liked burdening others with my problems.
And the secretary went on to say that he understands that in the position that he is in as Secretary of Defense, as a part of the National Security Council, the president's national security team, he should have been expecting to be less private about this sort of information in the future. We know that the White House has set up protocols that now all cabinet secretaries have to follow, and the Defense Department internal investigators are looking at what happened, doing a review, and there will be some more decisions to come as a result of that investigation, Joe and Savannah.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much.
Well, in a shocking move against Israel, President Biden has signed an executive order that allows the U.S. to issue sanctions against Israeli settlers occupying the West Bank.
This unprecedented move is the president's most public split yet with Israel since the war with Hamas began in October. The initial round of sanctions was issued against 4 settlers who the U.S. says have committed specific acts of violence against Palestinians in the West Bank. According to the order, all of their assets and bank accounts in the U.S. will be frozen. The executive order also allows the government to impose further sanctions on government officials in Israel.
Let's bring in Hagar Shamali for more on this. She's the former spokesperson for the U.S. mission to the UN, the former NSC director for Syria and Lebanon, also the host of Oh My World on YouTube. Hagar, good morning. First, walk us through the history here of settlers in the West Bank and the tension that has existed throughout that period.
Well, there is a small faction among Israelis and Jews who believe that the entire area should be Israel. And they are dictated by this by looking at biblical times, biblical stories. So they go to those certain areas and establish these settlements. Now, these settlements are illegal. The United States has said that. That's U.S. policy, has always said that we don't support illegal settlement. And the policy of the Israeli government isn't necessarily to support all settlements. Some of them they do, some of them they don't. However, settlers and all Israelis are guaranteed protection by the Israeli state. And that's why when they go and create these settlements, even if they are illegal, they get protection from the military.
This is not the first time President Biden has spoken out about settlers here. What is this saying right now about the relationship between the U.S. and Israel?
So first, you have just what you see on paper, which is a significant move for the U.S. government to actually go out and proactively do something, where they're saying it's not just that we're saying publicly that we're against this in general. They're actually trying to take an action to stop the activity, to tell the Israeli government, you need to help us put an end to this. We've asked you a number of times, and now we're really serious. And this type of action, it not only freezes any assets they have here or prohibits U.S. businesses from doing business with them, it ends up being that it unleashes market forces around the world. So they end up getting isolated from really the entire international financial system. But that said, what the real message here the U.S. government is trying to say is we view this as a national security threat, this behavior, because it prevents the establishment of a Palestinian state, which we believe is a threat to the U.S. national security, foreign policy, and economic interests.
Let's talk, while we have you, about the latest on hostage negotiations. We understand that Hamas leadership is reviewing the latest version of this potential deal. How much pressure are they under? We know the Israeli government is hearing so much about the hostages. What about Hamas? How much pressure are they under, given the humanitarian crisis in Gaza?
That's a great question. Actually, nobody asks me that. And there have been protests inside Gaza, not huge, but still very brave protests of people calling on Hamas to release the hostages, because because they are sick and tired of the war. And they know that that is at the crux of the real brutality here on Israel's side. And so they also have increased pressure on the Hamas side, but on Hamas's side as well. They know that if the war continues, it will really inevitably undermine their military and governing capabilities. And that's their ultimate goal, is to maintain control over Gaza.
Hagar Shmuley, it's always great when you come by. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
It's known as the Pineapple Express, and the first one of the year brought serious floods and heavy rain to California. Now the storm's moving inland, heading toward the Rockies and the Plains today, then the lower Mississippi Valley and Gulf Coast by Saturday.
Meanwhile, California is bracing for another atmospheric river, as they're called. It's on its way early next week. The continuous rainfall on the already saturated ground could potentially produce mudslides, landslides, and flash flooding for the drenched Golden State.
Let's get your full Morning News Now weather forecast now.
Angie Lastman is here in studio with us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. We've got to talk about exactly what's going on with these couple of different storms, because the one that has been impacting California over the past couple of days, we are not done with just yet. You can see there's still some rain occurring across that state, but now the system's on the move, and it's going to impact folks across the Rockies and eventually parts of the plains here in the short term. Long term, we're watching for our next storm system to impact folks across the Golden State. We've got that as a timeline from Sunday through Tuesday. So that we have a couple more days until we'll have to deal with. But here's the winter alerts from that first storm. Notice we've got plenty of them in effect right now, and they're across much of the west. The storm is going to work its way a little farther to the east today, so we're on tap for some wind, some snow across portions of the Rockies. Travel will be difficult there. And then we'll turn our attention to parts of the south, where specifically in Texas, we could see some of those stronger storms developing this afternoon into this evening. The system moves a little farther to the east here as we get into tomorrow, still dealing with the high rainfall rates from really the Mississippi Valley all the way up into portions of the plains before we finally start to see this thing moving out as we wrap up our weekend, though we'll still see a little bit of that rain draped across portions of the southeast. Here's the area to watch for some of those stronger storms today. It's the hail, it's the winds that'll be on tap for those potential impacts. The tornado risk is low, but it isn't zero, of course. Abilene down to Del Rio and out towards San Antonio has the best chance to see some of that, those stronger storms developing. And then we gear up for this second storm system that's going to hit the west. Here's the deal. This is going to pack a punch. We've got some really impressive rainfall rates potentially on tap for this. We've already got saturated grounds across this area. It isn't hard for us to see flooding as it is normally. So we'll watch for the already soaked soil and the heavy rainfall to bring us another chance of some really difficult conditions across this region, specifically places like Santa Barbara County, stretching down into Southern California. That's where we'll see those greatest amounts of rainfall between now through Tuesday. Notice it could be a half a foot to up to a foot of rain. We've got that bullseye really across portions of Southern California. And when it comes to the snow, I know this will be welcome for portions of the Sierra Mountains. We could see over 4 feet. Great for those ski resorts who haven't had a whole lot of snow this season, but it'll be something to watch for sure across that area. And guys, I can't not mention the day that is the bane of all meteorologists' existence. You know, we go to school for this. And
wow!
Donnie Phil just is born a rodent and apparently an expert. But there it is. There's the celebration of weather. Winter will be here to stay for a little while.
What a crowd.
Or
you don't love a forecast to be a groundhog? You don't think that's a good method?
If he was more accurate, I would give him a little more respect, but I just get 40% accuracy. Yeah. It's not great.
Are we hearing that music?
It's a celebration. Listen, people are excited.
It's an occasion.
Right. Wow, I love it. All right, we will be sure to keep you all updated on what happens there, Angie. Thank you.
Of course.
Well, we have new details about that deadly hangar collapse at the Boise airport that left 3 people dead and 9 others injured.
This morning, investigators are on the scene trying to figure out what caused the fatal collapse. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has the latest.
Officials working to determine what caused this hangar under construction at the Boise airport to collapse, killing 3 people and injuring 9 others, 5 in critical condition.
Holy
James Quintana witnessed the immediate aftermath, taking this video as he drove by.
It was very, very shocking to see the magnitude of damage and see how big the structure was and how it seemed to have collapsed.
Let's get everyone out of that collapse zone if you can.
Officials described a chaotic scene as authorities responded to emergency calls around 5 Wednesday night.
I don't know what caused it. but I can tell you that it was a pretty global collapse that occurred. The main structural members came down. It was fairly catastrophic.
First responders pulling victims out of the wreckage.
You saw people being rescued.
Yes, absolutely.
Officials have now blocked off the property. They say as many as 30 people were working here at the time of the collapse. The rescue challenging and technical, with some of the victims hoisted out.
This massive crane also collapsing.
They were still working on some of those structural components, tying those together.
The 39,000 square foot steel structure owned by private aircraft company Jackson Jet Center. The company saying in a statement, "Our focus now is on supporting our team and partners during this difficult time." A project manager for the contractor, Big D Builders, telling NBC News all the victims are their employees.
It's overwhelming. It's such a tragedy.
Lots of questions still. Our thanks to Liz Kreutz for that report.
The mother of school shooter Ethan Crumbley took the stand in her involuntary manslaughter trial, a day of stunning testimony. Jennifer Crumbley talked about her son, her actions, and her thoughts about the day of the shooting. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa has the latest from court.
I've asked myself if I would have done anything differently, and I wouldn't have.
If you could change what happened, would you?
Oh, absolutely. I wish he would have killed us instead.
Jennifer Crumbley on the stand testifying in her own defense about her relationship with her son, Ethan.
I thought we were pretty close.
And pushing back on prosecutors' core argument that leading up to the 2021 shooting at Oxford High School, she ignored clear signs her son was struggling.
Did you ever believe that your son needed mental health treatment?
No, I mean, there's a couple of times where Ethan had expressed anxiety, not to a level where I felt he needed to go see a psychiatrist or a mental health professional.
She testified school administrators downplayed concerns, including in a meeting with Ethan's guidance counselor the morning of the shooting.
He told us that he didn't feel my son was a risk.
Sean Hopkins telling the jury Monday,
I felt it was better for him to be around peers and people who are his age than to be home alone.
Prosecutors say both of Ethan's parents bought him the gun used in the shooting, but Crumbley saying her husband was responsible for it.
Who is responsible for storing the gun?
My husband is. It was more his thing.
Her testimony following an emotional morning. Several people in the courtroom crying as prosecutors played surveillance video of the deadly shooting.
Because the situation was active and the killing hadn't stopped. You can't stop and render aid.
Our thanks to Maggie Vespa for that report. Defense attorneys finished questioning Jennifer Crumbley yesterday. The prosecution will start its cross-examination this morning. For more on the trial, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos. Danny, good morning. So just overall, what were your big takeaways from her day on the stand?
Look, this is a case where the parents have been much maligned, and probably for good reason, because they may have missed some warning signs. But the prosecution in this case has a pretty high hill to climb. So folks out there should not assume that this is going to be a guilty verdict for both mom and dad when dad's trial comes along. The prosecution essentially has to prove that the parents recklessly disregarded red flags and then recklessly allowed their son to get access to a firearm, and did so essentially knowingly. So that is not a slam dunk for the prosecution. This kind of theory of responsibility is exceedingly rare. So the defense yesterday had to humanize their client and also dispel the belief that these red flags were known to the mother, or that they were even red flags. And the best example is the reported text messages that he believed a poltergeist was in the house. She dismissed that as a running joke between and among the family. Now, there's a credibility issue. Either the jury will believe that or think it's bunk.
Let's talk about the fact that this is somewhat rare, right? I mean, most of the time in a criminal trial, the defendant doesn't testify. What do you make of her ability to essentially help herself here? And do you think she did that yesterday?
She had to testify. Whether it helped her or hurt her, it was really the only option, because this is information you cannot get as the defense from anyone else other than the mother. What was her state of mind? How did she perceive these facts as she received them? And again, I go back to that example. Much has been made of the fact that he repeatedly texted his parents, there's someone in the house, things are flying off the shelves. her response was, well, we sort of had this running joke. He was always messing with us. And we had this running joke that the house was haunted because it's a 100-year-old house. So that was us joking. And she's trying to convey the idea that this was not a red flag. And in fact, even in retrospect, she still believes to this day that he was kidding when he was texting her about the house being haunted because that was part of their running joke. So was it a red flag? The jury is really only going to go one of two ways. They're either going to find her credible or they're going to say that you were not seeing what was plain and obvious there to see that everybody else could have seen except you.
This is the first time we've seen a case like this. Parents charged for a mass shooting that their child committed. Just how much is this case and the outcome going to impact whether we ever see anything like this again?
People should not think of this case as standing for the proposition that parents will be held strictly or automatically liable for anything that happens with a firearm in their home. In fact, even one of the judges on this case in the appellate court said this is unique because it involves allegations that somebody, number one, recklessly disregarded their son's mental health issues, and number two, recklessly allowed that person access to a firearm. Those two facts are exceedingly rare. But I will say this. Our culture has shown an increasing acceptance of the idea that we hold parents responsible for their children's access to firearms. This is something that 100 years ago, mental health and the independent act of an independent actor would cut off causation. So negligence would be completely removed and you would only blame the shooter. But things seem to be changing.
And mental health is almost always, it seems like, the issue with these school shootings, too. So.
Exactly.
All right, Danny, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Coming up, it's been 1 year since the toxic freight train derailment in Ohio.
What we're learning as residents remain concerned about their health.
But first, out on the campaign trail, President Biden makes his case to voters in the battleground state of Michigan, how he's polling ahead of a potential 2020 rematch with Donald Trump. That's next.
Welcome back. The president was in the battleground state of Michigan yesterday, hoping to boost his support from auto workers. New polling shows in that state he is behind in a potential head-to-head matchup against the GOP frontrunner, former President Donald Trump. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez reports from Michigan.
Just days after clinching a coveted endorsement from the United Auto Workers, President Biden back in Michigan. The battle for this crucial swing state intensifies.
We now have, in large part because of you and organized labor, the strongest economy in the whole damn world.
Carpentry union worker Tracy Longenbarger credits Biden for bringing infrastructure jobs here.
Joe Biden has kept us working, and he's labor-friendly, and that's all I can ask for.
Warning signs for the Biden campaign, including this new poll showing a potential head-to-head matchup here with GOP frontrunner Donald Trump. Scott Mallinford has been an auto worker for more than 20 years.
I support Trump because I truly believe he does want what's best for the American worker.
The former president is trying to peel off more of those blue-collar voters, meeting with Teamsters leadership.
I've employed thousands and thousands of Teamsters, and they've done a great job.
Another challenge for President Biden here, cratering support from Michigan's huge Arab-American population, demanding a ceasefire in Gaza.
I think he is funding a genocide.
The president said he understood that pain and passion. But that's not enough for Lori Kamle Ajlouni in the Detroit suburbs.
How disappointed are you with the Biden administration?
I am heartbroken. I am so hurt that it's a feeling of betrayal.
She voted for Mr. Biden in 2020, but now
there is a widespread underground campaign of Arabs, of Muslims, where we cannot morally support President Biden.
So if not President Biden, would you vote for former President Trump?
No.
So who would you vote for?
I would write in on the ballot, ceasefire, free Palestine.
Even though that could potentially give the election to former President Trump?
If things don't change, then I have no choice.
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you for that report.
Well, abortion access is shaping up to be one of the major issues in the upcoming election, and it's exposed a divide among Republican women. According to a June NBC News poll, 1/3 of female Trump voters say they disapprove of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade in 2022.
NBC News is taking a deeper dive into the issues driving voters this year. We've launched a new focus group series called The Deciders, produced in collaboration with Engage Regis, Syracuse University, and Sago. For the series, NBC News spoke with some of those Republican women in Pennsylvania, asking why they're supporting former President Trump, even though they have strong feelings about that landmark Dobbs decision.
Joining us for more on this is NBC News Washington correspondent Yamiche Alcindor. Yamiche, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. So how did these women react to the Dobbs decision? Tell us more, kind of the nuance of how they're feeling about it and what they have to say about preserving abortion rights.
Well, this really was a fascinating focus group because, as you mentioned, these women live in Pennsylvania. They are largely staunch supporters of former President Trump, but they vehemently disagree with the decision to overturn the Roe decision. They are largely, they say, supporters of abortion access in some form. So take a listen to what some of them said about the decision to overturn Roe.
I was unhappy with the decision because I think we took a big step backward in treating women as not equal, not intelligent enough to make their own choices, able to be controlled by men and their thinking. Just a giant step backward.
A giant step backward. That's what a number of women said. But here's the thing. They twisted themselves into pretzels in a number of cases when it came to explaining why they continue to support former President Donald Trump. Of course, Trump has been on the campaign trail saying he is proud of the role he played to overturn Roe v. Wade. He also, of course, was instrumental in putting 3 justices on the Supreme Court, which made it possible to overturn Roe v. Wade. But when they were asked specifically, these women, about the blame that they put on former President Trump, they said they do not blame him. So take a listen to that moment.
By a show of fingers, who would say former President Trump is at least partially responsible for Roe v. Wade being overturned by the Supreme Court? So none of you would say that he's at least partially responsible for it.
Maybe just a little bit because of his Supreme Court nominations.
So that was really a part of the focus group that made me gasp because these women were not blaming them. And they really were making a lot of excuses, frankly, for former President Trump. They said that they didn't like the way he talked about women, but they thought, oh, well, maybe he's just a man of a certain generation. And that's why he speaks like that when he's bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade. They said, well, really, he's trying to get the crowds, the campaign crowds excited. And that's not really what he thinks. So these are women who are still, they say, largely, by and large, going to vote for President Trump. So really fascinating stuff, Savannah, Joe.
So, Yamiche, I guess the question is for this group, just how important is the issue of abortion?
Well, this was a really big headline out of this focus group. Many of these women said that while they do not agree with restricting abortion access, they also don't see abortion as their top issue. Take a listen.
It's not that important. I hate to say it, but it's overall, it's probably not going to determine who I vote for.
It's like mid-range. I don't know how to explain. It's not something that's on my radar.
It means nothing in the grand scheme of everything to me. I'm going to vote for who I think is going to do the best for my family.
And a number of these women said they saw abortion as a top women's issue, but not their top issue. Instead, they said that immigration and border security were their top issue, along with inflation in the economy. It's also important to note that these women, while they don't agree with overturning Roe, they did say that they would back a national ban on abortion, which means that they would be okay, they said in most cases, if all states across the United States banned abortion at 15 weeks. So it's really important to sort of dig into the details here with these women. Joe, Savannah.
So, Yamiche, you touched on this. It's seeming like many of them will still vote for former President Trump. And I think the way you put it was it seemed like a lot of times they were making excuses sort of for him and his role in the overturning of Roe versus Wade. But did this have an impact enough? Did this particular issue mean for any of them that they won't vote for the former president? Or is that still the plan for all these women?
Most of these women, the majority of them said that they plan on voting for former President Trump if it becomes a race between former President Trump and President Biden. Take a listen to a little bit of their arguments on that case.
I guess it's my choice if I want to vote for him or not. I can agree with some of the things that he's done and said, but I also have the choice to be disgusted by some of the things that he said.
So what they're saying is, overall, I'm going to still support former President Trump, but it's true that I don't like some of the things he's doing. But a lot of them said that they believe that the economy was better under former President Trump. They believe that he was someone who was a strong businessman. They also disagreed with the E. Jean Carroll case, which, of course, was that case where he was found liable for millions of dollars for sexually assaulting and then defaming E. Jean Carroll, who, of course, was that former writer who sued him. So there really were a number of cases where they said, we don't like this part of former President Trump, but overall, we're going to vote for him. And a number of times when they brought up President Biden, they physically, even on Zoom, they physically sort of show their disdain for President Biden. So this is really bad news for Democrats who are thinking that they're going to be able to turn this slice of women. Now, that doesn't mean that independents or other Republican women might not back former President Trump, but for these women who voted for President Trump in 2020, it's going to be very hard to move them. Savannah, Joe.
Yamiche Alcindor, interesting, nuanced conversation. Thank you very much for bringing it to us.
Time now for some international headlines. A gas explosion has caused a deadly fire in Kenya's capital.
Josh Letterman is with us this morning from London with that and more. Hi, Josh. Good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. Authorities say at least 3 people were killed and well over 200 more injured in that explosion in Nairobi. A government spokesman says that it all started when a gas tanker exploded shortly before midnight and set off a huge fireball, damaging homes, businesses, and cars throughout the area. Now, the scene is said to be secure now, but the rescue operation is still continuing. And now to North Korea, where earlier today, leader Kim Jong-un toured a naval shipyard and called for North Korea's military to ramp up preparations for war. This after the country fired multiple cruise missiles into the sea in its 4th round of missile tests already this year. It comes as a string of military threats by Kim Jong-un have increased threats on the Korean peninsula to their highest level in years. And finally, back here to the United Kingdom, where the late Queen Elizabeth's famed Land Rover is up for sale. Elizabeth was often seen driving the luxury SUV near Windsor Castle and her other palaces, and now you can drive it too for the low cost of about $285,000. For comparison, that is almost 3 times as much as a brand new Range Rover would cost you. But let's face it, for the bragging rights, it is worth at least that, right?
I think it's so cool because Range Rovers are so huge, and she was not. It's just like,
I mean, it is pretty cool to be like, wow, she changed the steering wheel.
All right, we're all pooling our money to get the Range Rover. All right, Josh Letterman, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Coming up, 2 police officers attacked in Times Square, allegedly by a group of migrants.
Multiple arrests were made, but the suspects were then released without bail. Now the governor's weighing in. That story is up next.
Welcome back. New video shows the moment 2 New York police officers were attacked and kicked, allegedly by a group of migrants in Times Square. NBC News correspondent Rahima Ellis has the story.
The alarming video showing 2 NYPD officers beaten in Times Square, kicked and punched as police say they were trying to disperse a disorderly crowd Saturday. 7 suspects arrested, 4 seen in these mugshots. Chief, what were you thinking when you saw that video?
Completely outraged.
The NYPD also outraged. Those suspects are back out on the street, released without bail, on charges including assault on a police officer.
In any case, when you attack our police officers, you should go to Rikers Island, you should be remanded, or bail should be set.
Prosecutors acknowledging to NBC News they only asked for bail for one of the suspects. District Attorney Alvin Bragg writing, violence against police officers is never acceptable. It is paramount that we conclusively identify each defendant and specify each participant's role in the incident. The NYPD saying the 7 suspects are migrants who came to New York in the past year. Several have arrest records since coming to the U.S., according to senior law enforcement officials. At least 6 others still being pursued. It's not known whether they are also migrants.
Get them all and send them back. You don't touch our police officers.
We're told the 2 NYPD police officers are okay.
Our thanks to Rahima Ellis for that report. According to our affiliate NBC4 New York, multiple sources familiar with the matter said they believe 4 of those initially arrested have boarded a bus under new aliases and headed toward the California-Mexico border following their release. The next court date in New York is scheduled for next month.
Well, this Sunday marks 1 year since that toxic train derailment that impacted the village of East Palestine, Ohio, and some residents are just now getting back into their homes. However, as NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo explains, they say there is still a long way to go before it actually feels like home again.
Video and documents just released by the NTSB shedding new light on that devastating train derailment and controlled explosion a year ago, including transcripts of the conversation in the train's cab when conductors realized something was seriously wrong. "We didn't get any air in the back," one says. "That means we've come apart." 38 cars had jumped the tracks, some bursting into flames and leaking toxic chemicals. Christina Dilworth says that day, East Palestine changed forever.
We all had to leave. It was scary. It was like a horror movie.
For much of the last year, Dilworth stayed at a hotel paid for by Norfolk Southern. But that relocation program is ending.
Bottled water. It's just my new normal.
She hoped coming back to her house would feel more like coming home.
A lot of people just think, oh, it's done, it's over, everybody's safe to go home. I always feel like we're like the forgotten town.
An October EPA report did not show any concerning levels of contaminants, and state regulators say the tap water is safe. But many here worry about the long-term health impacts. After the derailment, Dilworth says she developed a rash and headaches.
Health-wise, are you concerned just being here?
Yes, I am concerned. What's my long-term future? I've already been exposed.
As for the cleanup, Norfolk Southern says that is nearly complete. Trucks and heavy machinery remain as crews rebuild the area that was dug up to remove chemicals.
We want to make it look like it was beforehand.
Crews also installed pumps, which are still collecting all stormwater from the site.
A lot of people are asking why it took so long. What was the biggest challenge at this site?
You know, it's a complex site. But, you know, everything we do, we've got to work with the regulators to get done correctly.
Meanwhile, all day long, trains run through East Palestine, and no new federal safety legislation has passed. Stephen Romo, NBC News, East Palestine, Ohio.
Now to medical news and a new report from the federal government showing a worrying increase in the sexually transmitted disease, syphilis.
According to the CDC, cases of the disease have increased 80% over the past 5 years, with more than 207,000 total cases reported. And that is the highest count in the United States since 1950.
For more on this, we are joined by NBC News medical contributor, Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, good to have you with us. So before we dig into the numbers more, what can you tell us about syphilis? How's it transmitted? How's it treated?
Yeah, Joe, syphilis is known as the great imitator because it can present in many ways to be confused with other diseases. It's caused by a bacteria. It's a bacterial infection, entirely treatable and curable. And it's considered a sexually transmitted infection largely because of how it's transmitted close skin-to-skin contact, usually with a sore that presents in the mouth, anus, vagina, penis. And it can also be congenitally transmitted. We'll talk about that in a moment with babies.
What's contributing to this rise, and why are we seeing cases then of other types of sexually transmitted diseases decline? What do you think is going on here?
Yeah, Savannah, it's very disturbing. In the 90s, we virtually eliminated syphilis, and we think there are several things driving cases of syphilis in the last several decades. One, decreased condom use. Just with teens and young adults, there's just been overall decreased emphasis and education about condoms, leading to rises in cases like syphilis. But as you mentioned, other sexually transmitted infections like gonorrhea are on the decline. That's largely thought to be due to kind of aggressive public health efforts to at least have gonorrhea screening and follow-up treatment. Often with syphilis, you have to make sure you've eliminated the cases of syphilis, and sometimes people are lost to follow-up. There are also factors that are driving this that are common with other diseases around systemic racism. There is a 2 to 5-fold increase in cases of syphilis among Black and Brown Americans as well. So very complicated issues driving the increase in cases, but nonetheless, a very disturbing trend. The CDC has made a national call to action as a result of the increase.
You know, here's an alarming stat from the report. Syphilis rates on the rise in newborns, with more than 3,700 cases reported in 2022. That's a 183% increase since 2018. What's causing that?
Yeah, Joe, congenital syphilis is really a canary in a coal mine phenomenon. It's a reflection of the fact that we're seeing such an overall increase in cases of syphilis. So when we see so many babies being born with syphilis, a couple of things driving that. One, Mothers are not getting as much of the prenatal care. Usually we screen for syphilis at least once during pregnancy, and in some cases 2 to 3 times. But many of these cases, moms reported not getting that treatment or not getting that diagnosis. And then unfortunately, this is something of a stigma issue. Doctors sometimes don't drive this aggressive screening because they think this couldn't happen to my patient. So I think it's incredibly important to, if you are pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant, ask and make sure that you're getting all the screening tests. And remember, very simple, treatable and curable.
All right, raising awareness here, Dr. Kavita Patel, as always. Thank you.
Thanks. Coming up, breaking barriers on the stage.
How one man's dream of inclusivity helped change the world of dance and is still leaving its mark more than 30 years after his death. That's next.
Back now with some financial headlines for you. Intel is pushing back its grand chip manufacturing venture in Ohio.
CNBC's Savannah Henao has that and other money news. Savannah, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Savannah. Yes, so Intel is delaying the completion of 2 semiconductor chip plants in Ohio until late 2026. The Wall Street Journal reports the delay of the $20 billion project is due to a sluggish market and the slow rollout of government subsidies. The Biden administration is expected to start awarding big grants from the 2022 CHIPS Act, with Intel and Taiwan Semi, the world's largest chip maker, being the biggest beneficiaries. Taiwan Semi recently delayed the start of production at one of its upcoming plants in Arizona. Amazon is launching a new generative AI shopping assistant called Rufus. Now, it's trained on Amazon product catalog, customer reviews, and information from across the web. For now, it's only available to a limited number of Amazon customers. Amazon views Rufus as a one-stop shop for all your needs, and it can answer questions such as what to consider when buying running shoes, and also what to respond to follow-up questions. Now, Rufus can also provide context with insight on products based on specific activities or events. And more AI. Google is adding generative AI to Maps. The feature is currently only available for certain areas and select local guide members. It allows you to speak to the app using natural language to help find new places in your hometown or even throughout the country. Google says the system will work no matter how specific or broad your needs might be. It can also be used in a pinch, such as suggesting things to do in case of a sudden rainstorm, and you can further refine search results by asking follow-up questions, guys. So I guess if we're bored, we can say, hey, tell me what to do.
Yeah.
What should I do?
Send you there, direct you there.
By the way, in the world of AI, going back to the previous story, Rufus is the best AI name I've heard so far.
I agree. Joe, can I tell you, when I first, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is my absolute favorite.
Yes.
My absolute favorite of any of the other names.
It's so funny. Also, maybe a little less common than Alexa for people who are like, stop it.
Everyone's going to be naming their kids Rufus.
Yeah. Anna, thank you.
All right, February is, of course, Black History Month. To commemorate this morning, we are taking a look at the life of Alvin Ailey. He was a dancer, choreographer, and activist who founded the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. His contributions to modern dance have impacted audiences all across the world. Now, more than 3 decades later, his legacy lives on. NBC News Digital reporter Maya Eaglin shows us how.
I think it's a celebration of life. What African Americans have contributed to dance, it's always a reflection of their experience.
Rehearsal is underway at Alvin Ailey's American Dance Company in New York City, and Solomon Dumas is performing in his 8th season there.
These dancers are some of the smartest, educated, intuitive people I have ever encountered in my life.
All of them honoring the legacy of the late choreographer, civil rights icon, and visionary Alvin Ailey.
I'm a choreographer. I'm a black man whose roots are in the sun and the dirt of the South.
What Mr. Ailey was able to do, if you look at any of his works, he was able to tap into so many different genres. It was like a gumbo of dance styles.
Alvin Ailey founded the company in 1958 at just 27 years old, and during his career, choreographed over 100 ballets.
I'm trying to say something about the beauty of black people.
He often showcased the wide range of African American experiences while advocating for civil rights. One of his most notable pieces being Revelations.
Revelations is a title from the Bible. And it's a suite of spirituals in 3 sections.
He received many honors, but according to those who worked with him, his biggest accomplishment was bringing the art of dance back to communities where it wasn't always accessible.
What are some of your favorite memories with Mr. Ailey?
Working with Alvin Ailey was just the best. You know, out of 30 dancers, he had a way of making everybody feel special.
Almost 40 years ago, Ailey hand-selected Nasha Thomas to dance for his company, where she performed for 12 years. Today, she's the national director of Ailey Camp, the last project Alvin Ailey started before his passing. It's the same program that introduced Solomon to dance.
I was completely blown away seeing people who looked like me doing these amazing things, and they were all beautiful and they were all educated and they traveled the world, and I said, I want to do exactly that.
For some of these young people that can't see past their environment, their home life and their situation and what they don't have, it gives them a vision of what is possible.
Matthew Rushing is the Associate Artistic Director and former dancer at Ailey.
We talk about how the art form gives one value, self-awareness. It gives you skills to function in everyday life, and it gives a sense of freedom. It gives us a sense of expression that maybe words can't tap into.
I'll tell you the reason why. As we're celebrating Black History Month, how do you think people can honor the legacy of dance and Alvin Ailey?
I think we should remember that he was about unity, and he was about sharing the beauty of people of color, but in a way that everyone could connect to.
Tapping into that human spirit. There was once in our nation's history where Black people weren't even considered human. But to see his work explore and amplify the humanity of Black people, and then to see other people connect with that, is what's so genius about Mr. Ailey's legacy, his history, his genius.
Maya Eaglin, NBC News.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Jinx.
Fun to watch. That's our second time this week.
Coming up, it is the final countdown to music's biggest night.
Yeah, we are previewing the Grammys and talking about why this could be a big year for female artists. That is up next. Music's biggest names will take center stage at the 66th annual Grammy Awards in Los Angeles on Sunday night.
Comedian Trevor Noah will once again host the show this year. SZA is leading the pack with 9 nominations. This year's award set to make history with the debut of 3 new categories.
Joining us now for more on this is Clayton Davis. He is the senior awards editor at Variety. Clayton, thanks very much for joining us this morning. So some people are saying this might be a big year for female artists at the Grammys, with women dominating the nomination list, as Joe just mentioned. SZA, for example. Who do we think could take home the top awards?
So what's great about SZA and looking at her leading the pack here with 9 nominations is that she might be able to do what Beyonce couldn't in the last few times that she's been up for Album of the Year, and she actually could take this home. She is facing some stiff competition. We have Billie Eilish here. We have Taylor Swift, Olivia Rodrigo. This is all going to be, this is a killer field. But one thing of note here is that a Black woman hasn't won the big award for Album of the Year in the last 25 years. The last time was Lauryn Hill, for the miseducation of Lauryn Hill, for all those people who just love our childhoods. That was a very long time ago. And Beyonce has failed 4 times in that. So to see SZA be able to do it her first time out will be quite a feat, and I'm looking forward to it.
And that remains, to some, a complaint about the awards is that when it comes down to the big awards at the end of the night, they tend to kind of go to the same categories and don't branch out much. I think one reason people love the Grammys so much is that as much as we talk about the awards, we don't see a lot of trophies handed out. It really is kind of like the ultimate concert, right?
Yeah, they love to spread the wealth, and that's what's going to be interesting, because Taylor Swift, what we're predicting is that Taylor more than likely will win Album of the Year yet again, extending her record in that category. But then you have people like Miley Cyrus, who could be taking home Record of the Year, and then Billie Eilish, who could take home Song of the Year. So what makes this a little difficult to predict this year is that it's wide open and it could really be spread through so many different people. But as you noted at the top, that it's a dominating year for women, we're always looking for that surprise that kind of just comes out of nowhere. I'm looking at John Batiste to potentially do that, as he did a few years ago when he won Album of the Year. So we have to be open to anything here. But one thing I just want to note here is that SOS, which is SZA's album, to see her lead the pack of 9 nominations and not take home any of the major prizes, the top prizes, would be really disappointing. And that's something that we are hoping doesn't happen, but very much could.
That's a very good point. As we mentioned a moment ago, the Grammys, there are some changes happening this year. What's going to be different, and what specifically will you be watching out for in any of these new areas?
Well, the Grammys have always had an affinity to step into it either by accident or on purpose of just who they select. I mean, if anyone remembers last year's watching Harry Styles win Album of the Year over Beyonce was quite a moment that not many of us will tend to forget, and many would like to forget, because Beyonce would seem like such a shoo-in for Renaissance. This time around, they're looking to spread the wealth and be more inclusive in their selections. Whether or not that actually happens, we can only see how the voters voted in the end. But they like to spread the wealth. I think they're going to be able to do that. And we're going to have just a great night, a great concert. And that's what the Grammys are. It's about performances. And I can't wait to see some of those reunions and hear Fast Car on that stage with Tracy Chapman. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, the collaborations are always what make it so cool.
And I forgot that was quite a moment when Renaissance didn't take it.
Yeah.
Clayton Davis, thank you very much. Happy watching on the Grammys on Sunday. Thanks.
It's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, new hope for the families of those hostages still held captive by Hamas. The potential deal brokered by Qatar that's now reportedly being hammered out. In Washington, a candid apology from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin for hiding his cancer diagnosis from the public and the president.
We did not handle this right, and I did not handle this right.
More on his emotional appeal to Americans as the secretary heads back to work. Also this morning, we're tracking more wet weather moving across the wild, wild west. It could bring another round of severe storms to Texas and parts of the southeast this weekend. We have got your full forecast in just a moment. And it is the end of Curb Your Enthusiasm as we know it. Larry David's landmark HBO comedy begins its final season this weekend after nearly a quarter century on the air. We've got a preview and everything else you simply can't miss in the world of entertainment later in the hour. We promise no puppets will be injured.
If you don't know what that means, do yourself a favor and look it up.
Just Google Larry David and Elmo. All right.
Don't get me started.
Much more on all that.
Speaking of Elmo and red, by the way, we're wearing red for heart health.
The American Heart Association,
there you go.
Raising awareness about heart health. All right, we are going to begin this hour with new hope in the hostage negotiations between Israel and Hamas. Officials say both sides have tentatively agreed to the framework of the deal.
It comes as the Biden administration makes an unprecedented move to issue sanctions against Israeli settlers in the West Bank. It's the president's biggest break from the Israeli government since the war began in October. NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Hi, Matt. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. So, yes, there has been some progress on this much discussed, much negotiated deal. But I have to say, at the same time, the people that I've been speaking to in the Israeli government have urged caution. They say that the deal isn't necessarily imminent. It's unclear whether or not they're simply pouring cold water so as to diminish expectations, but we have been seeing some positive signals. Here's our report.
Today, signs of hope for a hostage deal to free more than 100 people held in the Gaza Strip, including 6 Americans. Qatar, a key negotiator, heralding potential agreement from Hamas.
The proposal has been approved by the Israeli side, and now we have an initial positive confirmation from the Hamas side also on the general framework.
But they said details still need to be ironed out, and the Israeli government still needs to approve. Pressure is mounting on the prime minister. The hostages' families are getting louder. As global outrage over Israel's incursion in Gaza reached deafening volumes. Even President Joe Biden showing signs of impatience with Netanyahu's government, The administration tightening the screws on settlers in the West Bank, slapping sanctions and visa restrictions on 4 West Bank settlers for allegedly harassing and attacking Palestinians. The decision spurred in part by the death of 17-year-old American Tawfiq Abdul-Jabbar.
See the blood? You see the blood all over the seat?
Shot, his friends say, by an Israeli settler. Israeli police say they're investigating the incident. Settler violence against Palestinians has long been a problem. But since the October 7 attacks, the UN says such incidents have doubled.
We think the expansion of settlements in the West Bank undermine peace, undermine stability, and so we will continue to engage with the Israeli government on that matter as well.
That infuriated Tel Aviv. Israel's government said their justice system is already punishing settler violence. One far-right minister calling the order anti-Semitic and based on a lie.
And guys, I should say that, obviously the unprecedented decision by the Biden administration to sanction those 4 settlers, and I don't use that word unprecedented lightly, that took the headlines today, but at the same time, in parallel, there was another initiative that's been announced by the Biden administration, this effort to try to recognize a Palestinian state. And that's supposed to be wrapped up in a lot of the deals that are going to go into what happens next in the Gaza Strip. Now, if it is, that would be a major deal and one that has eluded so many past presidents. So we'll see if the Biden administration, and he's facing an election, obviously, in November, so time is possibly running out. We'll see if he can ink this master deal. Guys.
All right, Matt Bradley, thank you very much.
Senate negotiators say they have struck a tentative deal on U.S. immigration and asylum laws.
They are hoping to vote on the bill next week, but it's already getting pushed back.
NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Goss joins us with the details. Hey, Steph, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. There has been a lot of confusion and speculation about what that deal would actually look like. Now Democrats say they'll release the details and the Senate will vote on Monday.
This morning, a landmark vote on immigration could finally be in sight. After months of battling on Capitol Hill, Democratic leader Chuck Schumer will force a vote on Monday.
We cannot simply shirk from our responsibilities just because a task is difficult.
As record numbers of migrants have been crossing the southern border, overwhelming authorities, President Biden has pushed for more action to combat the crisis. A bipartisan deal coming into shape in recent weeks. But former President Trump and his allies have been trying to undermine it, arguing it would give Biden a win in an election year.
If the bill's not going to be a great bill and really solve the problem, I wouldn't do it at all.
With the southern border under immense pressure, leaders of border states have been busing migrants to other cities. And in places like Chicago and New York, there's tension from overcrowded shelters. A growing firestorm after this dramatic attack on NYPD officers. Some of the suspects, migrants, according to police. 7 people were arrested for the assault in Times Square.
I'm appalled at this. The city, we've had enough.
Several of the suspects have arrest records since coming to the U.S., according to senior law enforcement officials. NBC News has not been able to confirm their immigration status. Now some have been released as the cases are pending.
In any case, when you attack our police officers, you should go to Rikers Island.
The district attorney saying violence against police officers is never acceptable. It is paramount that we conclusively identify each defendant and specify each participant's role in the incident. Governor Kathy Hochul, a Democrat, responding to the attack.
Get them all and send them back. You don't touch our police officers. You don't touch anybody.
The mayor of New York has said he's disgusted by the attacks. He's been one of several mayors who have asked the federal government for help handling the crisis. And President Biden pledges he will do more if this bill goes through, guys.
All right, we'll see what happens. Stephanie, thank you.
Thank you. Well, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin apologized yesterday for failing to notify the White House about a recent health scare that landed him in the hospital. NBC's chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us now with the latest. Hi, Peter. Good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Secretary Austin's going to join President Biden this afternoon at Dover Air Force Base when the remains of the 3 U.S. service members killed by a drone strike in the Middle East earlier this week return home. It follows Austin addressing those ongoing questions about the days-long hospitalization that he kept secret in a remarkably frank news conference.
Still dealing with leg pain, his limp visible as he arrived at the Pentagon briefing room. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin speaking out for the first time about that controversy, how he hid his hospitalization and diagnosis from the president and the public.
We did not handle this right, and I did not handle this right.
Admitting his mistake and delivering this apology.
I should have told the president about my cancer diagnosis. I should have also told my team and the American public. And I take full responsibility. I apologize to my teammates and to the American people.
Austin both contrite and candid after bipartisan criticism that he kept secret from the commander-in-chief and others within the Pentagon that he was hospitalized for days in the ICU with complications after being treated for prostate cancer.
The news shook me, and I know that it shakes so many others, especially in the black community. It was a gut punch, and frankly, my first instinct was to keep it private.
The secretary also responding to questions about whether he ordered his staff to conceal the emergency. An aide heard on the 911 call before Austin was rushed to Walter Reed.
Can I ask, can the ambulance not show up with lights and sirens? We're trying to remain a little subtle.
I never directed anyone to keep my January hospitalization from the White House. I'm offering all of this as an explanation and not an excuse.
Anyone else within the military chain of command would have faced reprimand or even dismissal. Why shouldn't that same standard apply to you, sir?
We didn't get this right, and as I said, I take full responsibility for the department's actions.
The 70-year-old hoping this moment serves as a lesson for others.
Get screened, get your regular checkups.
Austin said as a leader he had missed an opportunity to deliver an important public health message and that he didn't want that chance to pass again. It is important to note that the Pentagon's Inspector General is conducting a review into Austin's actions, but Savannah, no timeline on when that'll be completed.
All right, Peter, thank you very much.
In California today, they're worried about even more flooding after severe storms drenched the Golden State yesterday. At least 5 inches of rain fell in less than 24 hours, and experts say more could be on the way. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin is in San Diego with more on the aftermath of this storm. Dana, good morning.
Joe, good morning to you. Right now, there's a high surf advisory in place. That's because these waves are forecasted to reach up to 10 feet. Officials are warning people now's a good time to get out and get the things that you need. And with this weather already pretty windy and the ground already saturated with more rain coming this weekend, it could make the cleanup here in San Diego more difficult. Overnight, the brunt of Thursday's storm swamping Southern California. Soaking rain dropping on battered San Diego, still reeling from last week's destructive floods. More than 300 homes and families needing assistance, 65 people in evacuation shelters across the city, 30 roads closed.
The County of San Diego is establishing a housing assistance program to connect displaced residents with long-term housing while they wait to get back into their homes.
This, along with widespread damage throughout Los Angeles and Orange counties and swift water rescues across the region. Teams pulling a person from a storm channel in Orange County. In Santa Ana, hoisting a man from the middle of a riverbed. Drivers rescued from submerged cars as roadways suddenly turned into waterways.
I can open the door. The fire truck came to pull me out of the window. Thank God they're here.
Walkways closed after the earth underneath washed away.
This is not a little flood. No, I mean, you see it. Look at the cars. And it's hard to get into your house.
And homes waterlogged.
It's like a solid 3 inches of standing water. And even more so over here. That's like a good 5 inches.
Impacts of the Pineapple Express sending tropical moisture from Hawaii to the West Coast. In the north, the Sierra blanketed with snow, up to 4 feet in some locations. The Russian River overflowing, washing out highways and flooding vineyards. Trees and power lines down across the state. Now, that latest storm has moved on, but come Sunday, a second, more powerful one will impact this region once again. Officials remind people if you see standing water, do not drive through it like you saw the people that had to be rescued in that story. That could end up happening to you, or worse, it could be deadly. Joe?
All right, Dana, thank you so much.
Meteorologist Angie Lassman has the latest forecast on where that storm is headed. But first, we have to mention that today is Groundhog Day. And we have an update.
Yeah, breaking news. A little earlier in
Oh
Gobbler's Knob, Pennsylvania, Punxsutawney Phil emerged from his hibernation and did not see his shadow. So if you believe in groundhog-inspired forecasting, that means we are in for an early spring. We know someone who loves talking about this.
Angie, what do you say?
If only I was born a roading, I would know more about the weather. Here's the deal. If Phil just consistently forecasted an early spring, he'd be much more accurate than he has been in all the decades that have preceded us.
This year, though, so right? Could be right.
Well, he could be right. And if you look at the forecast right now, of course, weather and climate are so different. But if you look at the forecast right now, it does look like spring across the middle of the country. So maybe Phil got a little indication of those temperatures in, I don't know, Oklahoma City, where we're running nearly 20 degrees above normal. With, of course, climate change, it's more likely for us to see these earlier springs, right? Mid-50s are expected today in Omaha. You can see Peoria ending up into the upper 40s, Nashville into the mid-60s. So, yes, it does feel a lot like spring across a big chunk of our country. 43 degrees in Chicago tomorrow, mid-60s in Memphis. And then we start to see things get a little more average, where we should be for this time of year. So places like Boston, you'll be into the 30s, high 30s on Sunday, but back down to the mid-30s by the time we start our next work week. 50s on tap for Sunday and Monday in Washington, D.C., and then we return to the 40s by the time Tuesday rolls around. Similar story for Lexington, upper 50s for Sunday and into the upper 40s by Tuesday. So cooler conditions are on the way, or closer to normal conditions. Here's the deal, though, for the rest of the day today. We've got some rain and snow from that pesky system that has been impacting folks that you heard Dana talking about across California. The West is not done with that system just yet. Rain and snow on tap today across the Rockies. We've got some afternoon thunderstorms across parts of the southern plains. Mild conditions for the Midwest. Plenty of sunshine for much of the east, so you'll maybe finally start to see a little sunshine if you're looking for it in places like New York City. You just got to wait until the afternoon hours today. Here's the deal as far as the storm conditions are concerned here in parts of Texas. Abilene down to Del Rio, out to San Antonio. That's where we have the greatest chance to see some large hail, some strong wind gusts, and that's this afternoon into this evening. As we get through Saturday, notice the snow and wind only migrates a little bit to the east. We're still going to see the heavy rain draped across portions of the Gulf Coast. We'll keep it sunny and mild for your plans along the East Coast. And then that system moves into the southeast, and that's where we see our rain and wind impacting folks for Sunday. But notice the West Coast. Our next big storm is right at our doorstep when we get to Sunday. And this one's going to be a little more impactful when it comes to the heavier rain across portions of California that have already been drenched over the past few days and already have saturated grounds. Here's what Sunday looks like. That atmospheric river works close to the coast and leaves us with some really heavy rainfall, the flooding concern, not to mention we'll pick up some additional snowfall across parts of the Sierra Mountains. They, of course, need it. And we could see a good amount, maybe 3 to 4 feet in some of those higher elevations. The system is going to stall as we get into Monday, so that means that we'll watch for that rain to still be with us as we start our upcoming work week and likely stay across that area for Tuesday. Rainfall amounts, they're impressive. Santa Barbara to LA, we could see a half of a foot of rain and up to a foot of rain in these areas. Again, in those mountains near that region, it doesn't take a lot for us to see the flooding occur. And we've already got a good amount, a substantial amount of rain in the past couple of days. So nowhere for this water to go. We could see those mudslides being a problem. The flooding is always going to be something that we warn you about. So keep an eye out for that. And there's the snow that a lot of folks across that mountain range are hoping for in those ski resorts. It'll be great for that, but not so great for travel. That'll slow you down from Sunday rather to Tuesday, guys. We've got a couple things, on deck for folks out in California. And if you've looked at social media, they're wondering what this water falling from the sky is in California.
They don't handle that well there.
They do not. They do not. And there's nowhere for it to go. So something they'll have to watch for the next couple of days.
I love it. By the way, I have that dress. We should match sometime.
We should on a Wednesday.
There you go.
What do you think? I just wore it, so now when am I going to wear it again?
I don't know. We can pick something later next month.
Okay, sounds good.
There you go.
So glad
all
I could
that to
witness
look
this
forward to.
conversation.
We can get you one too, Joe.
Are we done?
No,
we have much
moving
more
on.
to come on this Friday edition of Morning News Now. A little later in the hour, we're going to take the temperature of America's labor market with some new data out just this morning.
First, though, some developing news overnight out of Florida where several people are dead after a plane crashed into a mobile home park. We'll bring you what we know up next.
We're back now with some breaking news out of Florida. The FAA now says 3 people are dead after a plane crash overnight in Clearwater, Florida. 1 was in the plane, 2 were killed on the ground. It happened in a mobile home park. NBC's Marissa Parra has that story.
This morning, tragedy in Clearwater, Florida, after a single-engine plane crashed into a mobile home park Thursday evening.
I can confirm that we have several fatalities, both from the aircraft and within the mobile home.
The fiery crash happened around 7 p.m. last night.
Code 3 response. It's going to be a plane crash. Plane crash, 2 houses on fire for the fire department.
The small plane striking one home directly. The blaze causing fire damage to at least 3 other homes nearby.
2 people trapped inside the house and flames showing.
This helicopter video shows the field of debris, with firefighters working overnight to put out any hot spots.
We haven't been able to get into the scene to effectively assess the totality of it at this point.
The pilot of the plane, a Beechcraft Bonanza V-35, reported engine failure shortly before the crash, according to the Federal Aviation Administration. The FAA adding in a statement, it is not yet known how many people were on board.
We heard what we thought was like a motorcycle go by or something. Then a few seconds later, it was a loud bang. The windows actually shook. The house shook.
Is there anybody else in this house?
No, I think they're all out.
Neighbor Rick Renner was at the scene minutes after the crash, taking this video of the blaze.
Even after the fire was out, you really couldn't even tell that there was a plane in there. Everything was just gone. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody is friends, and I mean, it's just weird that something like this happens in your neighborhood.
Investigators on the ground now working around the clock to get to victims and determine what went wrong.
Our thanks to Marissa Parra for that report, and we'll continue to follow this story and bring you more developments as they become available here on NBC News Now.
Well, Jennifer Crumbley, the Michigan mom charged in her son's school shooting, is set to take the stand again this morning. It comes after a dramatic day in court where Crumbley claimed that she did not know about her son Ethan's mental health problems. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa has been following this for us and joins us from Pontiac, Michigan. Hi, Maggie. Good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, as you said, a stunning, emotional day yesterday in court with Jennifer Crumbley actually crying multiple times throughout the day, multiple jurors crying as well. At one point, Crumbley's own attorney appearing to shed a tear. This as America's first parent, as you pointed out, to ever stand trial for their child's mass school shooting, pleads her case to a jury that essentially she couldn't have stopped her son.
I wish he would have killed us instead.
This morning, the mother of convicted school shooter Ethan Crumbley speaking out in her own defense.
As a parent, you spend your whole life trying to protect your child from other dangers. You never would think you have to protect your child from harming somebody else.
In emotional testimony, Jennifer Crumbley fighting prosecutors' claims that she dismissed clear warning signs about her son leading up to 2021's shooting at Oxford High School that left 4 students dead. Crumbley describing Ethan as anxious and quiet with few friends, but never thinking he was a danger to others.
Did you ever believe that your son needed mental health treatment, therapy, counseling, anything?
No, I felt like I had an open door and he can come to me about anything.
Both Crumbley and her husband James are charged with involuntary manslaughter. He will be tried separately. Prosecutors say together they bought Ethan the gun used in the shooting, playing this video of Jennifer taking her son to a shooting range. But Crumbley says her husband was in charge of securing the gun.
Who is responsible for storing the gun?
My husband is. I just didn't feel comfortable being in charge of that.
Crumbley claiming Ethan's school downplayed concerns that he was a risk. The morning of the shooting, administrators called a meeting with Ethan and his parents to discuss a disturbing drawing he'd made of a gun with the phrases "blood everywhere" and "the thoughts won't stop, help me." His school counselor testifying Monday why he supported keeping Ethan at school.
I felt it was better for him to be around peers and people who are his age than to be home alone.
Crumbley, who earlier cried alongside her attorney as prosecutors played surveillance video of the shooting, now hoping for sympathy from the jury.
I do not want to disrespect those families that truly are the victims on this, but we did lose a lot.
You've lost everything.
We did.
And just a little bit of background here on these proceedings. The really interesting dynamic that's been going back and forth throughout the trial is the defense repeatedly pushing to be allowed to call Ethan Crumbley to the stand in his mom's own trial. The problem is for the defense in that case, Ethan has made it clear to the court via his attorneys that if that were to happen, he would plead the fifth and effectively say nothing. And the judge yesterday reiterated that existing case law, she says, prevents an attorney from calling a witness who has made it clear that they will plead the fifth on the stand. So she shut that option down once again for the defense yesterday, and attorneys seemed really frustrated about that. As far as back here today, what's expected to happen, prosecutors in this case are expected to begin their cross-examination of Jennifer Crumbley first thing this morning. Savannah.
All right, Maggie, thank you so much.
This morning, Ukraine is sharing footage of what it claims is the sinking of a Russian warship.
Josh Letterman joins us from London with that and more. Hi, Josh. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. Ukrainian military intelligence says that the guided missile ship named Ivanovets was actually in the largest lake in Crimea, just off the Black Sea, when it exploded. And footage from the incident appears to show sea drones heading toward the Russian ship before that explosion. It is a major blow to Russia's Black Sea fleet. Russia's government hasn't commented, and NBC News can't independently verify Ukraine's claims. Now to Argentina, where there have been major protests and clashes with police in Buenos Aires over controversial economic reforms. The reforms are aimed at rescuing Argentina's economy and stopping runaway inflation. But critics say the legislation undermines democracy in Argentina, while newly elected President Javier Milei says without reforms, Argentina faces social catastrophe of biblical proportions. And finally to Australia, where a 3-year-old decided he had a different way to win one of those toys in those claw machine games. The boy named Ethan had his eye on a Hello Kitty toy and crawled up through the prize dispenser inside the toy machine. He was in there for about 10 to 15 minutes, and police had to actually break the glass to get him out. But the good news is he did get the toy he wanted. Guys?
I mean, to be fair, that might be the only way that was going to happen. Those claw machines are very difficult.
Yeah, exactly. The only way.
No, don't do that. Do not do
what
that.
He wanted was crawling in.
Josh Letterman,
and
thank you.
ultimately, they got the prize, getting him back out. Coming up, we are going to take a closer look at yet another way your race might affect your long-term health.
It's all in the wake of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's Pentagon press conference yesterday, where he highlighted the risk of prostate cancer, especially among black men. We're going to talk about what you need to know up next.
Welcome back. The Biden administration has started negotiations to lower prices of commonly used drugs covered by Medicare.
It's part of lawmakers' efforts to contain skyrocketing drug costs.
NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us now with more. Christine, great to have you here always. So what drugs are we talking about?
These are drugs you have heard of, and you've probably seen the ads. These are the first 10 drugs. There'll be 30 more later that they're going to negotiate. But these are landmark drugs for cancer, diabetes, arthritis, blood thinners. We're talking Eliquis. That's a blood thinner you've probably heard of. And Tresto, that's a cardiovascular drug. Look at Stelara there. That's a drug for psoriasis. And I was 8 weeks. Every 8 weeks, you get a shot of this thing. It's like 25 grand. So these are names.
Goodness.
These are names you have heard of, and these are the first 10 names that the government, in this landmark negotiation, made possible by the Inflation Reduction Act, it's law. Congress said, look, Medicare is the biggest consumer of these drugs. In any other business, if you were the big buyer, you would be negotiating prices for that volume. And so now the U.S. government is negotiating prices for the volume of drugs it buys.
It's interesting. I think I know the names of most of those drugs because of advertising these days, but no clue what any of them do. Let's talk about, we know this is early, but how steep could some of these cuts be? When could people actually start to see some of these?
So the estimates I've seen are anywhere from 25% to maybe 60%. It depends on how these negotiations go. And we should point out the drug industry has lawsuits and is pushing back against this new law that was passed last year. But $50 billion is the out-of-pocket cost from Medicare or the cost from Medicare. And people, Medicare recipients pay $3.4 billion out-of-pocket expenses. So it's a lot of money we're talking about here. We can expect these discounts. 2026 is when they're supposed to start. And again, 30 more drugs are going to be begin negotiating in the next year or so.
What if you are not a Medicare recipient? Does this apply at all?
A lot of insurance companies tend to make their pricing along with Medicare because, again, Medicare is the big buyer. They are the big buyer, taxpayers, essentially. So a lot of other insurers tend to follow along sometimes. And also, I should point out that also in the Inflation Reduction Act was this measure to cap for Medicare recipients their out-of-pocket drug cost to $3,300 a year for Medicare Part D recipients. And in 2025, that'll get to about $2,000. So already there are people on Medicare Part D right now who've already hit that number. Say you take a cancer drug that costs $12,000 a year or whatever. You've already hit. So now there are people who are starting to feel a little bit relief, even though this big negotiation has not gone to fruition yet.
And there's a potential for some type of trickle down, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Right.
Wow, life-changing, really, when you think about some of those price cuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. Christine, thank you so much.
Nice to see you guys.
We're sticking with health news and an issue highlighted by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin during that news conference yesterday at the Pentagon.
Austin spoke about his diagnosis of prostate cancer and used the moment to highlight how black men are at greater risk.
I also missed an opportunity to send a message on an important public health issue, and I'd like to fix that right now. I was diagnosed with a highly treatable form of cancer, a pretty common one. 1 in 8 American men will get prostate cancer. 1 in 6 black men will get it. And so I'm here with a clear message to other men, especially older men. Get screened, get your regular checkups. Prostate cancer has a glass jaw. If your doctor can spot it, they can treat it and beat it.
Let's talk more about this with Dr. Cedric McFadden. He's a certified surgeon and a clinical associate professor of surgery. Dr. McFadden, good to have you with us. So according to the advocacy organization Zero Prostate Cancer, African-American men are more likely to develop prostate cancer. Why is that? What are some of the factors that can influence cancer risks for black men?
Well, there are some general things that will increase your risk for prostate cancer. These primarily include being older. It also includes factors such as obesity and smoking and even a family history. But in black men, it really comes down to screening. So I think he said it quite eloquently. You know, screening rates are self-reportedly lower in African-American men than in other white counterparts. And this is particularly dangerous because if you can't find the cancer soon enough, it's number one going to have a chance to develop and obviously then have more advanced presentation, which makes it harder to treat. You know, screening really comes down to access, being able to get the test done, but also communication with your healthcare team to not only why you need the test, let's talk about what the test does, how often it should be done, and what should you anticipate about those numbers. So you have to really, we talk about knowing the numbers. This is definitely a number you want to know your score so that we can save more lives from prostate cancer.
Dr. McFadden, tell our viewers what they should be looking out for. What type of symptoms should men be aware of, and how often should they be getting screened?
So more commonly than not, often you don't have any signs and symptoms for prostate cancer, which is why it's so important that we begin screening. When there are signs and symptoms present, it primarily involves urination. Either there's difficulty urinating, either there's blood in the urine, or you find that you maybe have some pelvic pain or pressure. And if you're finding more symptoms, then we're talking about potentially more advanced disease. This testing generally begins in the 40s for African-American men. Now, in general, in the white counterparts, we talk about obviously by 50 getting that test done. But in black men, you should be having that test done probably 45, if not even 40, and it should be done at least every year or two. And this is when we have a shared decision-making, a conversation with your healthcare team that's so vital to make sure that people are getting that testing done.
A lot of people just don't want to think about or talk about prostate cancer. Talk about what some of the stigmas are and how much those stigmas really play a role with black men receiving medical treatment.
Yeah, it's such a sensitive topic for many reasons. I mean, we think about its role in reproduction, the idea of masculinity, but I think in particularly, we often don't know, if you ask an average male, where's the prostate, what it does, they don't even have that information. So I think we first of all have to arm people with knowing that information so that they can know the importance of getting the testing and getting the screening done. And in general, we also know that men are less likely to go to the doctors compared to women. And so that's the other barrier that we have to address in this instance, to get rid of the masculinity, to really go in and get the test and save your life and obviously affect your family as well.
All right, Dr. Cedric McFadden, thank you for joining us this morning. Important information.
Very. Coming up, we are talking about the economy. We're talking about your money. We've got the latest jobs report out this morning.
And you know we've got our economic dream team waiting in the wings to break down everything you need to know. Our
Boys,
Brian
let's see a
Chung,
bobble.
Investopedia's Caleb Silver. Okay, we won't ask you to do that again.
We
but
might.
they are going to talk about the job
yourself.
numbers. They're up next.
We are back with some breaking economic data.
Big data. The U.S. economy added a stronger than expected 353,000 jobs in January, while the unemployment rate came in at 3.7%.
Here to help us make sense of these numbers is NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung, Investopedia's editor-in-chief Caleb Silver, of course, our economic dream team. I think we have that graphic just to break me every time. The bobble gets me. Brian, I will start with you. This is coming in hot. Walk us through these latest numbers and how they compare with the previous month.
Yeah, a little bit of context is always helpful. And again, 353,000 jobs. That was way above what economists had expected going into this month. The expectation, 185,000. The number came in so high, our y-axis doesn't even cover it. So it would actually be above the height of this chart. The last time we've seen a monthly gain that high was in January of last year when, again, not covered on this chart, it was over 400,000 jobs added in that month. So above the pace that we had seen. And important to also note that the unemployment rate, how many people are out of work relative to the overall labor force, at 3.7%, staying below that 4% unemployment rate, which we were able to do for the entirety of last year. This labor market, this jobs market remains hot.
We're going to need a bigger board. Yeah. All right, Caleb, your thoughts.
Good one.
Yeah, I had to check Brian's coffee after he sped out the number because I couldn't believe it either. Yeah. 353,000, plus they revised the December numbers up. Just in the past 2 months, guys, almost 700,000 jobs added when we thought the jobs market was slowing. Not only that, wage growth continues to increase, now up 4.5% on an annual basis. Wages are hot. Jobs are hot. There's still 1.4 million jobs out there. This labor market is hot, maybe too hot right now.
Right. Oof. We're going to talk about that in a sec. Brian, tell us categories here. Where are we seeing the biggest gains, biggest losses?
Yeah, well, of course, you want to know where in the jobs market did we see gains. So I highlighted a few going into today. So leisure and hospitality, this has been the big driver of job growth in the post-pandemic recovery, slowing a little bit in terms of job gains, but still adding 11,000 in the month. But it was healthcare that added the lion's share of what we saw in this month, about 70,000 jobs added there. But I also want to call attention to information. This is going to include jobs in the media as well as some jobs in tech. It did gain about 15,000 jobs, but I bring this up because we have been seeing quite a number of headlines over the past few weeks, even just since we flipped into the new year with layoffs at a number of companies in tech and also in media. So these are things that we're going to watch. They might not be reflected in this report, but we have to keep this in mind as we get to some of the later reports in the winter.
All right, so Caleb, you said perhaps too hot. We know that Fed rates unchanged. Jerome Powell seemed to downplay a cut in March. Now what?
Yeah, I don't think a March cut is on the table. They were going to be data dependent. This data says the labor market is hot. Companies are still hiring aggressively. Consumers, by the way, continuing to spend, even though debt levels are at record high, and the wages keep increasing. So definitely no cut probably in March, 75% chance they stay the same. May could be a potential cut, but right now the way things are going, especially with the higher revisions for the last couple months of the year, when we thought the labor market was waning, this doesn't look like we're going to get a cut anytime soon. Stock market not liking these numbers either.
Really? Okay.
Oh, Brian, Caleb just mentioned wages here. Tell us what we're learning from wage growth numbers.
Yeah, well, again, let's rehash that number because when we look at the average hourly earnings, how much more are people making this year compared to this time last year? 4.5%. This is actually a faster pace than we had seen in the December report. But notably, and we have to remember this, wages are outpacing inflation. This is a trend that we had not seen until the spring of last year. So inflation was very much a big part of the story, eroding households' wallets for the 2022 period where we saw peak inflation. That story has flipped as of the spring last year. Does this get felt politically? It takes time for this to be felt by the American constituents. But again, this story, broadly speaking, good for Americans, but does present a conundrum for the Federal Reserve, which thought this number may be 4%, maybe 3.9%. You want it above inflation, but not running so hot that maybe it reignites potentially inflation in the future.
All right, Brian, Caleb, what a number. Thank you for walking us through it. Breaking news. There's your cha-ching. Thanks, guys.
The Department of Education says colleges and universities across the country will not receive students' applications for financial aid until at least early March.
That's because the department had to fix an error in how student aid eligibility is calculated, and that delay is leaving students and parents on edge.
For more, we are joined by Mark Kantrowitz. He is a student loan expert and author of the book, How to Appeal for More College Financial Aid. Mark, good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. So explain to us, first of all, what this error was, and then just the ripple effect it's having on students and their families who, of course, when they make that decision, really want to know about the financial aid packages, too.
Right. So the FAFSA Simplification Act included financial aid formula tables from the year 2020, but required them to be adjusted thereafter for inflation. Inflation, as you know, increased by about 18% from April of 2020 to April of 2023. But those inflation adjustments didn't occur. In particular, this means that a part of the formula called the income protection allowance, which shelters a portion of income for basic living expenses, wasn't adjusted. We knew there was a problem back in May of 2023 when the U.S. Department of Education published the draft financial aid formula, and I and other people brought it to their attention. But they didn't do anything about it, and they actually announced in December that they weren't going to do anything about it. But then it became apparent just how big of an impact this has. I mean, middle-income students would get $1,600 less financial aid. High-income students, $4,600 less financial aid. It's a pretty big deal. So now they're scrambling to fix it.
Mark, can you break down this new formula that's being used to calculate eligibility? What do students need to know about that and how much it's going to impact them?
Okay, so there's a lot of changes in the FAFSA. They've eliminated 2/3 of the questions, and they've added more ways for students to qualify, for example, for the federal Pell Grant. So the old formula for the federal Pell Grant is still going to be in place, but they've layered on a new formula that compares family income to the poverty line. So if your income is less than 175% of the poverty line, you're going to get the maximum Pell Grant, regardless of what the old formula says. And if you're less than 275% of the poverty line, you're going to get at least the minimum federal Pell Grant. So families with income up to about $60,000 are going to qualify for the maximum Pell Grant, $85,000 for the minimum Pell Grant. And so we're going to see a big increase in the number of students qualifying, and more than 500,000 additional Pell Grant recipients. And of the Pell Grant recipients, more than 1.5 million will qualify for the maximum Pell Grant.
So we know, some students have already made their picks on where they're going to go to school in the fall. Others are waiting for this financial aid information before making a decision. What's your advice to families who are in limbo?
Well, most families are actually in limbo. I recommend just being patient, checking on the website every day to see if there have been any changes. They're going to recalculate the student aid index for everybody who is affected, and pretty much everybody is affected. So the colleges will have no choice but to push back their own deadlines for students to accept offers of admission. Now, if the colleges get the FAFSA data by the middle of March, as the Department of Education is promising, the soonest the colleges will be able to send out the financial aid offers is April, but it may even be not until May or even later. So that national decision day of May 1st will probably have to be pushed back.
All right. Mark Kantrowitz, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your expertise. Coming up, if it's Friday, your weekly can't-miss list is right around the corner.
After the break, the swan song of Curb Your Enthusiasm finally begins this weekend on HBO. We've got a preview, and we've got everything else that you simply can't miss. That is up next. Welcome back. We've got good news for fans of the show Suits, which seems to have had many more fans recently. The series is coming back with a spin-off. It is called Suits LA. As the title suggests, it will be set in Los Angeles instead of New York. The original show followed fake attorney Mike Ross, played by Patrick J. Adams, who got his big break with his photographic memory. The series aired for 9 years, with its last episode in 2019, but then it became the most streamed show of 2023, beating The Office. The spike in views might have had something to do with royalty, specifically the Royal Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, as well as when it arrived on Netflix. Although none of the original cast is attached to the spinoff, filming will start just around the corner in late March. I kind of went through a phase where I watched a little bit when everybody was watching it and it was high on Netflix, but I've never seen the whole thing. Have you?
I've never watched it, but I love how they can just be like, this is a great show, let's make it, and just set it in LA now. And that's the new peg.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll see what happens.
Any chance of a cameo?
Ooh,
I don't
maybe.
know.
She lives nearby. All right, finally this hour, it's Friday, which means it's time for your weekly can't miss list.
From 2 spy thrillers to the end of one of television's best-loved cringe comedies. Yes, there's a lot to pick from this weekend.
Kay Ingram is a digital reporter from NBC New York. Joins us with what we can't miss. Let's start in the theaters. Argyle, which is the spy movie within a spy movie. The cat is sort of the star. What do we need to know about Argyle?
Is he the star? Well, first off, look, if you're looking for something that's light, fun, and entertaining, Argyle is definitely going to be it, just like you mentioned, Joe. It's a spy movie with a bunch of references to other spy movies. It stars Bryce Dallas Howard, who, listen, we love her from her films, but in this one, she plays this introverted, best-selling author who goes from writing about spies to actually having to work alongside one. And she finds out that, her writings, although they're fictional, they come to life, and there's some real-life consequences. So you can already imagine where that's going to go. I love that you mentioned the cat, because if you're like me watching this trailer, you're like, is it real? It is. His name is Chip. I know, it's crazy because it looks like CGI, but his name is Chip, and the internet is loving him. They're calling him Nepo Kitty. So if you're familiar with Nepo babies, just like Nepo babies where their parents are celebrities, his parents are celebrities too.
Wait, what?
I will break this down. Are you ready? Okay, so here's how it goes. The director of this one, Matthew Vaughn, who's done The Kingsman, that's his owner, Matthew Vaughn.
Yeah. We're going to say his parents were in the Meow Mix commercials or something.
Oh my gosh, imagine.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Cat royalty.
All the spy realness alongside a star-studded
The
cast.
other thing that's so fascinating about this to me, just very quickly to say, is there was this whole rumor about Taylor Swift being involved or something, which has now been killed. But the reason for that is because this is based on a book, but the book's not even out yet.
Right.
So it's like, what's going on here? Why? How did it get this movie? Was it actually like a companion novel to a movie they were doing? But then it's
so many questions. And it's why all the cast, Henry Cavill, everyone, it's been a hard time for them to really talk about it. They've been doing press junkets.
And they're like so mysterious.
There's a lot to be said, so you just got to go and watch
about this one.
Right.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. There's a show.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith,
Tell us about this one.
Okay, so this one is a reboot. It's the one that folks have been really excited about, myself included. I love Donald Glover, and so he's one of the co-creators, but he also stars in it alongside Maya Erskine. And so the two of them play Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And what's really interesting is that while it's like the original, the OG from 2005 with Brad Pitt and Angelina, of course, but this one's a little different. Instead of them being, a married couple who finds out later that they're spies, not to give too much away, they are individuals who didn't know each other, but then they know that they are married and they know that they're spies. So it's like it's a whole remix.
A little twist,
Yeah, a little twist.
We'll take that. All right, of course, Curb Your Enthusiasm, the final season out this weekend. Larry David is wandering the building, so hide your puppets.
I hope so.
Oh, my goodness.
But maybe not that part.
Bringing it up. I can't
Maybe not that part. Savage, right? Well, listen, that was a Curb moment, and I think fans are really excited because this is the final season, which feels so hard to believe, right? It's been almost...
We've heard it before.
We've heard it before.
Right, that's true. And this is what, 12 seasons now?
12 seasons. It's the 12th and final one. Of course, we're going to see Larry David playing none other than himself. Larry David. We've got Vince Vaughn, a lot of OGs who are returning, but we've got some new faces too, like Dan Levy, who's going to be there. So, yeah, it's going to be a crazy, crazy return that folks really hoping maybe this isn't the last.
Yeah.
But he says it is.
We'll
We'll
enjoy it while we can.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can. That's on HBO, yeah.
Another thing to watch, a documentary, right, about the group Run DMC. Tell us about this one.
Oh my gosh, the Kings from Queens. So, of course, everyone knows that
Such a great title.
hip-hop, right?
Yeah.
It's like King of Queens, which I love. But this is different, clearly. Kings from Queens, of course, everyone knows that hip-hop started in the Bronx. But 3 brothers from Queens are the ones who really took it to the global main stage. And Peacock, they're giving us a 3-part docuseries where we go behind the scenes, learn really what it was like for Run DMC to come together. They got their start, again, in Hollis, Queens. And then they, again, have hit the main stage. Ice Cube was quoted as saying, these are the guys who really made hip-hop what it is today. So this is a must-watch because we get that backstory that, honestly, we haven't really seen before.
I'm looking forward to that one. All right, we have just under a minute here. Last week, we talked with WWE superstars Bianca Belair, Montez Ford. Today, their new Hulu series, Love and WWE, comes out. What should we know?
Well, you should know that if you love reality TV, I think this is going to be another one you're going to want to sink your teeth into. Joe, you interviewed them. They are so fun.
More than
right?
that.
Wait, we'll have to dive into that later.
Yeah, I'm a huge Bianca fan, so.
Well, if you're a huge Bianca fan, and honestly, even if you're not a big wrestling fan, this is going to be a show to watch. It's on Hulu, and again, it just walks you through their story as a married couple, but what it's like to be mega superstars in wrestling on their road to WrestleMania. So we get a little bit of what life is like as a, megastar wrestler who's broke records, but also what that's like when they bring it home.
Yeah.
And what that looks like. So it should be fun.
Cool. All right, Kay Ingram, thank you so
can't
much.
miss it. Thank you. Good to have you with us. Happy Friday.
That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.